welcome back to the Velocity YouTube channel. This segment, we're talking all about how to get recruited. We're going to interview General Manager and Elite Coach Natalie Lang to give the coach's perspective. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the athlete and student perspective.
So there are multiple things that college coaches look for in the recruiting process, but the top traits that we're looking for are athleticism, speed, stick skills, and lax IQ. Then there's also the intangible qualities as far as the mental side, mental toughness, coachability, your work ethic, your leadership skills, and your ability to play within the team and within our systems. So overall, we're looking for a lot of different things, but the main thing is athleticism and then coachability. If you're athletic, we can coach you up on the rest of the game. So when to start the recruiting process? This is a very interesting question, and depending on what coaches you ask, you can get multiple different answers. For me, really, you start the recruiting process your freshman year. And mainly you're starting with the academic side of things, making sure that you are meeting with your high schools and your guidance counselors to make sure that you're taking the right academic curriculum to be eligible for the NCAA Eligibility Center. Would be really the first part of the recruiting process. Make sure you're getting those core classes in so that you can be eligible when you graduate your senior year. And then from there, really, like I said, it's that freshman year. Going on visits over the summer, starting to talk to coaches, attending camps, playing on your club team, really falling in love with the game and dreaming about those top schools that you would potentially want to play at.
So I started playing lacrosse at a young age, and kind of as I went through that and kind of closer to early high school is when I kind of figured out that I did want to play in college. So for my process, I figured out first that I wanted to play in college because that's obviously the most important. And then by my sophomore year, I was traveling with Velocity, playing in the summer, and that's usually when coaches are looking at you. So I made sure before I went to tournaments that I was emailing coaches and letting them know when my schedule was, what field I was playing at, so that they could come watch me and it was convenient for them. And then as I went through, I figured out what type of school I wanted. So I knew that I wanted a small school, and I knew I wanted to be far away from home, and I kind of wanted to go to the South. So once I figured out those, I was able to kind of narrow down where I wanted to play and figure out those few schools. And then after that, I went on visits and was able to kind of see what type of campus I wanted. And after that, I fell in love with Mercer's campus, and it was an easy decision.
So Lindsay and I just touched a little bit on, when we started the recruiting process, and Lindsay's kind of process of how she determined what school she was going to play at. But obviously, as you guys know, there's a lot more that goes into this process, and that's where Velocity comes in and why you're with us in our program. We provide you with that recruiting manual that gives you the step-by-step of what you should be doing your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. So if you have any questions, make sure that you're reaching out to Lindsay or myself. So what to avoid doing in the recruiting process. And I think the biggest thing that I want all of our Velocity families to know is that the lacrosse community is so small. All of the college coaches talk. A lot of them have worked with each other, played with each other, coached under or have coached each other. So just remember the lacrosse community is really small. For example, I had a player that I was recruiting who told me she was receiving a full ride to one of the top programs in the country. The next weekend I was at a recruiting tournament talking to that coach, and she said they don't even offer full rides. So just know that the lacrosse community is really small, and that's something that I want all of our families to make sure that you remember. Another thing that I want you guys to remember is that coaches are recruiting the whole package. Yes, that means we're recruiting mom and dad too. We want to make sure that the players are that well-rounded student athlete. They're coming from a good family that shares the same values that our program principals have: respect, discipline, accountability, and we want competitors. We want kids that want to win. So just realize that we are recruiting the whole package, and that means mom and dad. And I think the major thing that we want all of our families to know is that throughout the recruiting process, we encourage you to be honest with college coaches. If you're not interested in the school anymore, let them know. If you're super interested in the school, let them know. That honesty is the #1 thing. Don't leave them hanging, and making sure that you are communicating what you want in the process and being honest with it. So obviously we're talking about recruiting. We had to have a section on social media. Yes, college coaches are on Instagram, they're on Snapchat, they're on all of the social media outlets. They are checking your social media. That is your personal brand. So we want to make sure that all of our Velocity players are taking that into consideration and making sure that what they're putting on their social media is reflecting who they are and representing our program in a positive.
So another thing to remember with social media is that not only the coaches are going to be looking at that, but your future teammates, your future captains, anybody who's a part of the program is going to be looking at it. So that's just something that you have to remember, that your reputation is going to be judged before you get to school, and that has a lot to do with what you're posting on social media. So just remember that what you post, once it's out there, it's out there.
So the last common question that we get asked is, should I be making a highlight video? Should I be sending film? Should I just be attending tournaments? And what we recommend to our families is that you're doing both. Highlight films are a great way for a college coach to see a quick snapshot of what you can do as a player. But tournaments are the best time for us to see you live in action, working with your teammates, working with your coaches. We want to see those intangible qualities that we were talking about at the beginning of this video. We want to see those in action. And not only in action, we want to see you doing those things against some of the best teams in the country. We also want to see you doing those against some of the worst teams in the country, because that's how a lot of our college conferences are. You have a wide range of teams, so it's nice to see you guys in action at those tournaments to get a really good vibe of who you are as a player and what kind of player and personality you're going to bring to our college program.
Signing off on this edition of Velocity Lacrosse, the recruiting process.
Thanks for hanging with us.